Just feel your attention go there to the center of your chest. And with your attention there, I'd like you to breathe in a rhythm that's comfortable for you.
Hey everybody, our mission here at the Heart Coherence Collaborative is to get people in touch with the healing power of the heart.
And we really need your help. Right now, only 1% of viewers subscribe. We are aiming to take that number to 6%.
The reason why we want to do that is the more people that subscribe, the more people in the world can learn the magical practice of heart coherence.
So please help us out. If you've ever listened, if you love this message, please just take a moment to subscribe.
Thank you so much.
Welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. We are very excited. We have our good friend Howard Martin from the HeartMath family here with us today. We've gotten to meet Howard recently and the whole HeartMath team, and it has been such a pleasure to get to know you.
We're so excited. I'm sorry, Leah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just excited. I'm really excited to see you guys and to be with you. And I want to welcome all the people, you who are listening and watching our conversation right now, hoping you gain something meaningful from it. But thank you for the opportunity to be here with you and to have a chance to participate in this particular episode of the Coherence Challenge.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I would love to just have you introduce yourself and just tell people what is HeartMath and how do you fit into the family?
Well, my name is Howard Martin. I have a title. I don't know that it matters anymore because I've been doing this with HeartMath for over 30 years now, but they gave me a title of Executive Vice President. Fancy. And so I've been here since its inception, working with HeartMath's founder, Doc Childry, to create all that's been created here over 3 decades now, which is amazing in and of itself that we're still doing it. Let me just say before I describe what it is that even 3 decades later, I remain as enthusiastic and excited about this work as I was in the very beginning. And I think that in and of itself is a gift because it doesn't seem to have a ceiling. There's always a new adventure, and it's always exciting for me to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. HeartMath is the name of our organization. It's a for-profit company, HeartMath Inc., that I'm executive vice president with, and our nonprofit entity, HeartMath Institute. And these two organizations embody a complete system consisting of tools, techniques, technology, methods, all underpinned with scientific research designed to really help people learn to access more of the intuitive intelligence of the heart and then apply that in very pragmatic ways to improve their lives and improve the lives of others. The system itself, I think, probably because we have scientific underpinning, has been able to be used in such a wide variety of societal sectors around the world, the whole world. So we have people who follow us because they're interested in their personal growth or their spiritual growth. And they're really into HeartMath as a result of that. And that filters it way down into society, like all the way down to things like the military, police forces, government agencies, educational institutions, lots of work we do in healthcare practitioners, large hospital systems, all of that. So it seems to be something universal about it. So the tools, the techniques, and the methods are what's applied. The technology reinforces that. We measure changes occurring in what's called our heart rhythms, which relates directly to coherence. And then again, the science, which is important to give people a grounded sense of this so that heart becomes something that's not just a metaphor or not just something held in the respected areas of spirituality or religion, but something that people can really grasp onto, understand, and then lead a better life because of it.
Beautiful. Yeah. So if somebody's new, they're coming into this challenge and they have no background on heart coherence, where would you have them get started?
Well, first of all, let me help them a little bit, if I may, by explaining what coherence is.
Yes.
When we began HeartMath, we started the scientific research. We recognized that when we were putting basically a heart-based system into a world that didn't have a lot of heart, that we should probably do it differently. It couldn't be just philosophical anymore. So we began scientific research. And what we found is that the heart was doing more than pumping blood. It was actually an information processing center in the body, sending commands to the brain and throughout the entire body. and that these signals and coming from heart back to the rest of the body were essential. They were governing so much of the other functions that the body had. They were in a sense, the heart's rhythms were the master rhythm maker in the body. So we said, okay, let's take a look at that. How could we measure that? So our scientists discovered a medical discipline called, I'm going to use a medical term now, so bear with me, listeners, called heart rate variability analysis. And what that means is a measurement of the heart's changes in speed. When we go to a doctor says, hey, Howard, your heart beats 75 beats a minute. What he really told me is that it averaged out to 75 beats a minute. The heart's changing speed constantly, speeding up, slowing down, to perform its various biological needs, to provide that what it needs to do as a cardiovascular organ. Now, it turns out that one of the things that impacts these heart rhythms is not just things like our physical movement or speech or things like that. It's actually our emotions. Now, if we have heart rhythms that are very chaotic and disordered, it sends signals to the body and to the brain that begin to shut down higher perceptual centers of the brain. Conversely, if we have heart rhythms that are very smooth and ordered, it creates the opposite effect. It's healthy for the body, sends signals to the brain that open up the higher perceptual centers of the brain. So we began to measure this. We could understand that there was an optimal state that we called heart rhythm coherence. When the heart rhythms are very smooth and very ordered, and the body's systems began to synchronize to those rhythms. Brain function, respiration, digestion, immune system response, hormonal response, all that stuff started syncing up and working at a highly efficient level. And that is what coherence is. It's a highly synchronized state where all the major body systems are coming together, that's accompanied by sustained positive emotions. And it can be measured by looking at changes in our heart rhythms. And the medical process that we do that with is called heart rate variability analysis. In essence, the more coherent we are, the better off we are. We're smarter, we're healthier, we perform better, and we have better control over our emotions.
Wow, thank you.
And I'd love to, since we're in just talking about the basics, what is the technique to get yourself into coherence?
Well, there's a suite of techniques in the HeartMath system for a lot of things. All the things that we teach in our programs, in our seminars, our certification trainings, in the HeartMath app, all the content that's in that app. A lot of that involves technique and practices. One I can share with you and with everybody now is a very simple one, but its simplicity is really still very powerful. And I find it important because it can be something we can utilize regularly on the go that can help us stay more in a state of higher coherence. And I'd be glad if you'd like me to. I don't know what your format is today, but to take a minute or two, and we'll do a little exercise together.
Let's do it.
So what I'd like to invite you to do is to, first of all, and you can do this eyes open or closed, I'd like you to take and focus your attention in the area of the heart, which is just generally the center of your chest. Just feel your attention go there to the center of your chest. And with your attention there, I'd like you to breathe in a rhythm that's comfortable for you. Naturally and normally, maybe a little deeper than you normally would, but in a rhythm that's comfortable. And as you're breathing this way, I'd like you to imagine as if your breath is flowing in and out through the area of the heart. Now continue to breathe this way. But let's add the third and most important step. I'd like you to experience a regenerative, uplifting emotion. It could be a feeling of appreciation, for example, of the good things that you have in your life. Maybe you could feel some of the love or the care you have for someone or something, or even some place in your life. Or it could just be a sense of well-being, like, everything's really okay. And just feel that feeling as best you can in a gentle way, not a forced way, and continue to breathe through the area of the heart. As you continue with the exercise, let me describe to you what's happening right now to you inside your body. Your heart rhythms are becoming more smooth and ordered. Your body's major systems are beginning to synchronize with that rhythmic beating pattern of the heart. It's creating synchronization, for example, within your nervous system. The heart is sending signals back to your brain, opening up the higher perceptual centers of your brain. These coherent heart rhythms are also triggering the release of hormones in your body that are regenerative. Hormones like the anti-aging hormone, DHEA, or the hormone that's called generally the love hormone, oxytocin. These hormones are becoming more prevalent in your body right now. And as your body goes through these beneficial effects, something else is happening. You're opening up to more of your intuition, your spirit, your higher self, really, to integrate with your humanness. The best parts of who you really are in a wholeness sense become more readily available. And all this and more is simply happening because you've stopped, you focused in the heart, you're doing the heart focused breathing, breathing in a rhythm that's comfortable for you, imagining your breath is flowing in and out through the heart, and you've attempted to experience a regenerative uplifting emotion. And this is called the quick coherence technique, because what we've just done together right now is we've all brought ourselves into a higher level of coherence that will now carry over into the rest of our conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Howard. No, just diving into the heart with you made me just grateful for you and everyone at HeartMath. You know, every time we hang out with you guys, it's such a good time, and it reminds me how people living from the heart are so, you know, so enjoyable to be around. You know, it's, you have such a good energy, so I just want to say that.
Thank you. You do too. You guys are an inspiration. You're so uplifting, and you know, you're fun. You do this thing from the heart. You do it organically. It's just not a, you know, big professional production for you. Yet tens and tens of thousands of people come to your events. And I think that speaks to the fact that it's the heart and the heart connection that creates that kind of magnetics. It isn't the mind and being smart and being slick and being all that other stuff. I'm certainly not that. It's really more about the heart connection we have with each other.
I'm with you. Yeah, you know, I would love to just hear about the technologies that HeartMath has available that can help people develop that coherence.
Well, thank you for that. When we figured out we could measure it, we were using, of course, medical scientific equipment to do that. And people wouldn't understand how to use it, and it was really expensive. So all the way back in the late 90s, we set out upon how could we make this something that people could have, like, you know, an ordinary person could own something that they could measure their coherence with. That has evolved over these years. We released our first product like that back in late 1999. And we've gone through a progression and evolution of those products. To today, we've arrived at a couple, but the most important one is called the Inner Balance Coherence Plus, and that pairs with the new HeartMath app. So the Inner Balance Coherence Plus, I wasn't planning on this, but I happen to have one because I use it myself. I have one on my desk, and so it's a sensor, and I attach the sensor to my ear. Through the earlobe, it picks up the blood flow. It converts that blood flow into the understanding of the pulse, and then a patented algorithm begins to analyze that and turn it into heart rate variability data. So this is a heart rate variability data sensor, sampling at a super high rate. This is research grade sample rate in this thing that people can own and use themselves. Use for what? Well, it unlocks the new HeartMath app. And in that app, you see your coherence scores. You see your heart rhythm patterns in real time. It saves all that. You can review your data. You can go back and look at where you were last week versus this week. It does all this other stuff, right? And in addition to that, the coolest thing about this app is it unlocks a learning center. And in that learning center, there are hours and hours of content, techniques, tools, videos, complete courses, audiobooks, a lot more. So basically, when you have the Coherence Plus sensor and you unlock the app, you've got a doorway into all things HeartMath. And this app is continuing to evolve. I mean, we're planning out and out and out with new iterations. So it'll be going on for a really long time. And that's the technology today that started back in 1999 that's evolved into this. And so there are literally hundreds of thousands of people around the world that use our technology. And with that many people, you can only imagine how many different ways it gets used, everything from somebody using it to help improve their meditation to a sports professional. We found out about Olympic athletes in the 2024 Olympics that were using our technology.
Nice.
I won't be able to mention their names at this point, but we know of some that were like medalists and stuff that were informed later, been trained in Coherence and trained in HeartMath techniques. And so everything you can imagine, that right on down to people using it, trying to use it with their pets. I mean, it goes on. It's crazy, how many uses there are for this thing.
Leah uses it with her pet. And I just want to say before we move on that the inner balance technology actually changed my life. Just using it. Read about it in Joe Dispenza's book. And then I bought one, and it took me a little while to really get the feel of it. But when I did, I started feeling ways I had never felt, that I hadn't felt in a long time. And then my relationship with my heart, my emotional health just expanded. I was feeling deeper levels of gratitude, appreciation, love, compassion. And then from there, my heart just burst wide open. So
you tell me that story when you're here. It's an amazing story. And it's so good to hear that, when you do this, like I said, as long as I have, it's wonderful to hear about how this work, my work, but the work of HeartMath has impacted the lives of people. And occasionally I get this type of response or feedback from somebody. It always makes me feel good about having done all this in the first place, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because you are, one of the OG HeartMath people.
Yeah.
People talk back and forth and have different opinions about the actual breathing part of what gets you coherent. And the standard instruction is usually even breaths in and out. But I have heard other people lead it in a way where it's a longer exhale. And I've also heard some people say that it's just, the important thing is just focusing on your heart. So I just wondered what your perspective on that is.
I think the breathing is an important step, but it has to go further. In other words, there are a lot of breathing techniques out there, all different kinds: rhythmic breathing, box breathing, counting breathing, and breathing techniques have been around for a really long time, and they are good. They help people. They're important. But if breathing techniques alone were the answer, the world's problems would have already been solved, because they've been around a long time, right? So what I find is that the breathing sets the stage. It brings the system into a certain resonance. It sets the stage for something more important to happen, and that's the emotional shift. Nothing really changes until the emotion shift. Even thoughts don't have much power unless they have emotional agreement behind them, right?
Yeah.
So the emotions drive everything. So when the emotion shift begins to happen, that's when, for lack of a better term, it's not a bad one, that's when the magic begins to unfold. That's when you have shifts in perception. That's when you gain new understanding and clarity of thought. That's when your behavior begins to change. It all happens when the emotions shift. So in the technique we did together, the quick coherence technique, it started with just this focus, and then it went to the breathing, to Leah's point. And rather than prescribing this many beats, sometimes we'll say maybe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out is a good one. But a lot of times we're just saying, find a rhythm that's comfortable for you, right? Maybe breathing a little deeper than you normally would. So we're giving people some hints there, getting the breathing going. And that, again, is set the stage. And then we ask for the emotional shift. Now, people can get high coherence scores just breathing, in a way they're sort of cheating their body into it, right? But to really have the high coherence scores and to have them come on easily and naturally, you have to also add that emotion component, the attempt to shift emotion. And so the breathing is, to me, a nice centerpiece. It's foundational. To summarize, breathing techniques are good. They help a lot of people. They are important. But I think in the bigger picture context, at least for me, the breathing part is a part of the process. It begins to create the foundation for the emotional shift to occur.
Thank you.
That's great. You know, there's so much going on right now in the world. How can we bring more heart, care, love, compassion, kindness to all the areas that need it?
Well, it relates to what's really most important for me right now. I mean, I'll still enjoy talking about the science a little bit and those kind of subject matters. But what's important to me, especially this far down the road in this career, is really helping love go viral. You know, love is a little word that has a lot of meanings. You know, for some people, it's something you avoid, you know, because you get, and for others, it's like, you know, the source of everything that was ever created, you know, the guiding force behind the entire universe and more is what love really is. And there are thousands of different shades of understanding in between of what love really is. And so love has different components. You mentioned a few just then, when you talked about compassion and kindness and, you know, care and those kind of things. There are aspects of love, is what they really are, you know. And there are even more, like honor, nobility, dignity, courage, non-judgment. There's a list of things, and to me what they are is all like pieces of love, you know, aspects of love. We have to find ways now to integrate more of those qualities into how we live our lives and how the world and the earth and humanity functions. To me, it is the key to how we're going to make it through and solve the challenges that we are being confronted with today. I think things are actually going in the right direction. I'm not a doom and gloom person. Obviously aware of many of the challenges. I have a lot of compassion for what people are going through. At the same time, I feel like it's part of a process, part of a shift in consciousness that's leading us to a new, much better and much different world. The key to that is going to be manifesting more love. In general, in broad stroke context, I think there are two ways we do that, Kyle. We do it through radiation and we do it through demonstration. Radiation are the things like we just did, you know, where we're in the heart and we're feeling those feelings and emotions. We're putting out that information into the consciousness field. So the meditations that we do, you know, all the exercises people do, all of that would be radiational contributions to the field of love, really putting more love into the field. And I think that radiational part is underappreciated or under-respected. It really does have a big impact. So part of why I like being on a program like yours today is you do these coherence challenges and you bring people together from all over the world and you have different speakers and you have different exercises and all of that. That contributes, that adds up. That's making a contribution at an unseen level to the betterment of everything. And we may not never see the direct results of that, but I know in a nonlinear way that there is an effect that's actually taking place. So the radiational part's good. The other part, the demonstration, is where the rubber meets the road. How do we demonstrate more of those qualities? How do we manifest more of the love and the care and the appreciation in how we just walk in the world in our daily activities? And that gets into things that go even a little deeper. How do we communicate? How do we handle a challenge with someone? You know, when we start feeling judgment, what do we do with that? You know, when we start feeling frustrated and angry, how are we going to handle that? When we reach that point where, yeah, I know all these things, but they don't deserve my love right now. How do we expand the radius of that? You know, this is where it gets into the game we have to play in life, right? You know, we're watching TV and we see something on the news. And these times it could be something related to politics. And we all have our opinions about that. And one side does one thing and it really doesn't suit what we want. And before we get mad about that and how dumb they are and all that, and then all that energy runs through our system, that's not love. So the demonstration is how do we handle things like that? And then how do we generally, you know, treat ourselves for starters and treat each other? Another key to changes in the world today relates to love being demonstrated, and that is I think we really have to learn to get along better with each other. Part of the problem that I see, a big part of it in the world today, is the separation, the divisions, the biases, the judgments, the us against them mentalities go on at big macro levels, like between nations, down to micro levels, like between, in a relationship or in a family. It goes all the way down, and there's a lack of tolerance right now for each other. When we're manifesting more love and the qualities of love, we begin to perceive things a bit differently. We don't see the differences as much. We don't have the tendency to be as harsh in our judgments, for example. Our perceptions have become more allowing. The desire to cooperate, for example, can increase. When you start adding that up, it says if we were all manifesting more love, we were learning to get along better, we weren't as separate from one another, we weren't as judgmental, and we were trying to cooperate, that equals a new and different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to hear your prescription for everything you said. I think it appeals to so many people that someone would be listening and say, yes, I would like to be more like that. What could you say in terms of actionable things can people do to change into that kind of person? Which I think, unless you're like an evil, rotten person, most people, wish that they could be more loving, more tolerant.
Well, there's a few tips I'll throw out there. First of all, people need to learn to love themselves a bit more. They need to accept more of who they are and recognize, yeah, we all make mistakes. We're not all of the things we thought we wanted to be or could be. And that those type of thoughts, we feel lesser than a lot of times. We feel like we didn't get, a fair shake in life. All those things can come up. And we have to learn to say, well, that's only one side of the picture. What about all the good things people have done? What about people doing the best they can during a very challenging time in human history, and back off and not be so judgmental about ourselves a little bit. Offer yourself a gift from your own heart, and that's the gift of self-compassion. And never, ever feel like you don't deserve it or that, you're doing something wrong by having compassion for yourself. That's tip number one. Tip number two is be patient. Make an effort to manifest more of the qualities associated with heart and love. And that can start with little things like just being a little kinder to people. Showing a little kindness. You don't have to go up and hug everybody. I'm just saying be a little kinder about things, a little softer, a little more gentle with people about things when we run into interactions anywhere. It could be in a store, it could be in a restaurant, it could be, any place we are. Just show a little extra kindness. And in times when you don't get that right, go back and remember, have some compassion for yourself. Come back and say, you're not going to ever have days where that's the way it is all the time. So be patient and let it begin to unfold. A third tip I'll offer is this. One of the heart or love qualities that's most easy to access is actually appreciation or gratitude. In that family of heart feelings, appreciation and gratitude. Sometimes it's hard to feel, especially if life has been tough, it's hard to feel love, or it's hard to feel care, or it's hard to feel compassion, just don't have the energy for that, too cut off. But appreciation sort of reignites that, it opens the door very quickly. It's an uplifting energy. It's got a little fuzz to it, kind of like when champagne pops and the bubbles come out, it's got that kind of uplifting vibration to it, and no matter how tough things are, we can always find something to appreciate, right? I've heard story after story, about things where, let's say, a teacher told me a story one time about children. She taught children in a very depressed neighborhood, economically depressed neighborhood. And some of these kids had these horrible home situations, and they were mentally, emotionally scarred by that. And she couldn't get them to feel hard. But she would look for opportunities to point out something to them and show them that. For example, this one boy that she would walk to school with, there was a time when he was in real sad and depression. She pointed out a wild rose sticking through a fence, and she had him go up and study that rose and look at it and smell it and things like that, and he began to appreciate something besides his problems. He could see this rose and appreciate its beauty and all that. And he began to shift, and it doesn't mean that stayed that way all the time for him, but he can catch moments of that. He could catch a moment in his life when he could appreciate something. Same analogy applies true in our life. And as Doc Schulter, our founder, once told me, you can always appreciate something. You can usually appreciate it could be worse. So there's always a way to engender a little appreciation. Appreciation is like a magnetic energy that draws back to us the next things that will be fulfilling. It draws, it pulls. Appreciating what you have right now in this moment draws better things in the next moments, right? And so it's not as hard to access as some of the other ones. So the 3 tips I've offered is please love yourself and show yourself some compassion. 2 is try to demonstrate heart qualities in just casual ways as best you can, and be patient with yourself if that doesn't always work out the way in which you want it to be. And lastly, one of the easiest heart qualities to access that gives you back a high return is appreciation and gratitude. Consciously appreciating, being grateful for whatever's going on in your life and around you at any moment in time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Or whatever's not going on, which is actually a good one. I feel like
That's true.
this person that was talking about being appreciative of the headache you don't have, of the toothache you don't have.
Well, that's exactly right. That's a good way of looking at it. I like that spin, appreciating what's not going wrong,
Absolutely. I'm curious if there's been any studies in regards to the heart that have most fascinated you, either recently or in the past, that really kind of blew your mind in regards to the heart's potential.
Well, I think one of the ones is around, we know the heart sends information, but research going on around the heart receiving information, I think is exciting. In the study that HeartMath Institute did, where they were doing a study on, well, at the time they thought it was precognitive experience, like people sensing things that then happen later, right, in the future. And they did a study, and it was like published in scientific journals, Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, published study and all that. What they showed is that people were placed in front of a computer where the computer had been loaded with images. Some of them were horrific, some of them were very beautiful. The computer was randomly selecting the images, and they had a research protocol where the person was sitting in front of there. They'd press a button, there'd be a blank screen, and then a picture would emerge and stay on the screen for about 3 seconds. Then it would go blank again, and it repeated itself over and over and over with scores of these images. And while that was happening, they were wired up. Their brain waves were being monitored. Their heart rhythms were being monitored. Very detailed analysis of stuff I don't even understand. Heart evoke potentials and all this stuff. Scientific measurement was happening to these people as they went through this thing. And so they were looking at precognitive response, but what they found was amazing. They found that in many cases, the body began to respond to the picture that was going to be there about 6 seconds before the picture actually emerged.
Wow.
And that when they did the analysis even deeper, they found that what was responding in the body first was the heart. The heart was doing what it would do if that picture was there. About a second and a half later, the brain started to do it. And then about a second and a half before the picture actually appeared on the screen, they synced up, they synced together, heart, brain, picture. It was happening 6 seconds before the picture showed up on the screen. So when I was trying to get a good understanding of the study, I asked the director of research, Dr. Roland McCready, about it. And he said something very casually that I went, boing, this is crazy. He said, 6 seconds, 6 seconds is just what the research protocol was set to.
Interesting.
Which means it could be any length of time. The research protocol, the way the study was being structured was they had a 6 second delay, right? What if that had been a 6 hour delay? It's like it could have been anything, but 6 seconds was the research protocol. The summary of that study, and I'm going to paraphrase greatly now, it basically said, it appears that we have access through the heart to a field of information that goes beyond the boundaries of time and space. That's a paraphrase. And, but it's basically what it said. And so that's looking at some interesting possibilities, of the heart being more than a biological organ that's sending signals to the brain, which we talked about at the beginning of our conversation, but it being more than that. And one thing I said when I was explaining at the end of the quick coherence technique, I said, and it's open us up more now to access the field of information, the field of our larger, higher self. I said that, right? Well, what I was meaning by that is that it is opening us up. It's receiving information from something much larger. We live in this vast field of information called consciousness that is infinite. And we draw from that moment to moment, day to day. We filter that through our five senses and our thoughts and our emotions, and we turn that into reality, and the heart's playing a role in that. The more loving we are, the more coherent we get, the more we open ourselves up to that field. We pull in more information, we pull in a different kind of information. And that type of research is what's most exciting to me today, is about the impact that the heart is having on our ability to access higher states of consciousness.
Love it.
Yeah. What would you say for, some people really, especially in these times, they're really struggling to feel any kind of positive emotion. And there's a lot of negativity and negative thoughts that are really just looping in their brains.
Yeah, I know.
As such an experienced person with coherence, what should those people do who especially are just starting their journey and feel like they're just climbing uphill and can't even really access
I
renewing?
know it's a great question, and so many people are suffering that way and going through all that, and that's the way life is for a lot of people, and that's what keeps me motivated, Leah. That's why I still stay excited about this work. Is I try to define why I do what I do at times, and different phrases come up at different times. And one that comes up for me is doing what I can to reduce human suffering in all of its forms, right?
Mm.
And one of the ways human suffering shows up is those feelings of hopelessness, no future, the world is going in the wrong direction, the sadness and at times depression people feel for that. So my compassion, first of all, goes out for people that are living lives that are like that. I think the only place that I know to tell people to start is to recognize that they have something inside themselves that's been there all along. It just needs a little dusting off, and when it gets dusted off, it can be there to be their own best friend and their most reliable guide, making the changes they need to make and having that better life that they deserve. And that best friend is their own heart. And to recognize it's been there since you were ever in existence, and that over time it gets shut down a little bit because life gets tough, but that the road home to that heart is shorter than you might think. It starts with just recognizing that it's there, respecting it a bit more, and then using whatever methods, whether it's HeartMath or something else, to find ways to activate that connection between that wonderful part of yourself that's generically called heart. And it really is there for you as a guide, as a friend that can help you find those things in life that you're really looking for.
Well, Howard, this has been fantastic. We would love to know, as the closing question, how can we support you and the whole HeartMath family? Because we absolutely love you all so, so much.
Well, people can do the things that I normally be requested, and I would appreciate they do it. Go to heartmath.com or heartmath.org and begin to look around a little bit. You can go to your favorite app store. You can download the HeartMath app, and you get a 7-day free trial on that. You can buy the sensor, from our websites, which unlocks the app, or you could get a subscription to the app after you like it, if after 7 days, if you like the experience. Those are two things you can do. Also, follow us on the social media feeds, the Facebook groups and the Instagrams and all of that. So in other words, get involved a little bit, taking a look at what HeartMath does and see if it fits you and see if there's some things there that might be beneficial for you. The main thing you can do for us is to put out more love and care into your life and into the lives of others. That's the biggest gift you can give HeartMath. That's what we're about. And the more people that do that, the better the world's going to be. And we feel good about that. So just recognize the good person that you really are and put more of that true love that you have inside your heart out. Let's all work together. Let's all come together in a certain way. Let's together heart to heart. And let's see if we can't make a shift in this thing, turn it around a little bit so there's a lot less human suffering in the world.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. We'll have all of the information and links that Howard mentioned. We'll have that all below. Thank
Okay.
you so much. We love you.
Yeah, thank you,
Well,
Howard.
thank you so much for being here and for doing this program. I mean, it's amazing. You know, you've got some wonderful speakers that are going to be on this particular coherence challenge. I saw a list of some of them. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know, but respect. But it's going to be amazing. All the people that are going to be here or support this, and it's quite a movement you've created. And I honor you for that. And thank you so much. And come see us again soon. You guys are cool.
Wow.
We would love to. Tell everyone we said hello and that we missed them.
Yeah. And we're sending
tell them
love
hey
to
for you.
everybody.
Awesome.
All right. Be well, my friends, and take good care.
Take care, everybody. This interview is part of our 30-day Heart Coherence Challenge.
During these challenges, we send you a heart coherence meditation every day for 30 days, each designed to bring powerful healing benefits.
Throughout the event, we also release incredible interviews with guest speakers who inspire and uplift, like the one you're listening to right now.
If you would like to join a future challenge, go to www.heartcoherencecollaborative.com and register now. The link is in the description.
We're sending you love and hope you join us for the next challenge. We love you.